Good afternoon, church. Today's reading will be from the book of Proverbs, Proverbs chapter 22, verse 6. Proverbs chapter 22, verse 6. Okay, so it reads, "Start children off in the way they should go, and even when they are old, they will not turn from it." I'll read it again. "Start children off on the way they should go, and even when they are old, they will not turn from it." And other verses say, "Raise up your children in the ways of the Lord, and they will never depart from him." We may have our seats. So I like to look at other verses as a promise made from God or by God to us, men and women, of course. And it's almost a sure bet that if you raise your children up in the ways of the Lord, then they will never depart from you. And one of the things that happens when you're born again Christian is the faith becomes the central pillar of your life, And if it's not, then it should be. And so when faith is the central pillar of your life, then the things of faith become of extreme essence to you. They become of uttermost value to you. And when you get a child, then your child losing their faith should or becomes a nightmare to you as a parent. And that's because you, who is of the household of faith, understand the repercussions and the dangers that come with your child being outside the confines of the faith. Because they'll live their lives being unprotected by God. And if God is not protecting your child, then then the devil is able to play with your child in however way he wants to. Now, in this day and age, we have something called the cell phone. And the cell phone can be one of two things. Can be a good thing or a bad thing. And we who are of, sober age understand how to use it in order for it to be good or in order for it to be bad. We choose. It doesn't choose for us. But you see, at that age, there's a little girl over there. She's at the back. At that age, around 4, 5, 6, when you're still trying to figure out right and wrong, then you don't choose whether your phone is good for you or it's bad for you. The phone chooses for you whether it's good and bad through a process called algorithms. Now, one of the platforms that children use is social media. May it be TikTok, may it be Instagram, or may it be YouTube. They're all forms of social media. And so what happens is an algorithm is created through the things you watch. And so at that age, you don't necessarily know how to search up things. And so what happens is you scroll until you find that which you want or that which catches your eyes' attention. Now, unfortunately, we live in a time and, age where the things of God are not the most popular. And so the algorithm is biased. It's biased against the things of God. Because you find 100 other things before you find a gospel story. Or find 100 other things before you find a preaching. And so for us who can go and search it up, then it's fine. But you see, for your children, because of the age they're at, it becomes a bit more challenging. And so they just click the things they see. And in doing so, they shift the algorithm. And so when they find something they like, whether it's good or not, as long as they like it, then things like that and things similar to that will start appearing on the phone. And so what happens? What happens is you stop raising your child and your child starts being raised by the technology that you have left them with. And so we live in an age where we have lazy parents and basically lazy parenting abilities where, you come home from work, you're tired, you're exhausted and whatnot, and you don't have the time to keep choosing and typing out names of cartoons and Bible stories and whatnot. And so you just leave it to them because they know how to operate it anyways. And so what happens is you get a generation like us, because that's how this generation came to be. A generation where their eyes were not filtered. They had access to everything they wanted, and you weren't prohibited to as much as to what you can and cannot watch. And so that's how Gen Z was born, because that's exactly our generation. Our generation has lost it so much so that we are confused even with the common sense things, boys and girls, Is homosexuality natural or unnatural, Is it a perversion or is it a way of life or is it how you're born, Things that should go without saying are being questioned or are being put into question by our generation. And so sad. But why is it that we are the ones causing all these problems? Because of the people who raised us, because we didn't raise ourselves. And so when we fail in parenting, then this is what you get, You get a ripple effect of destruction, because we're living in a day and age where, number one, hard work is no longer taught in the homes. So we have a bunch of lazy youth around, not just the country. Here it's justified because you can say we don't have jobs. But worldwide, there are youth who have given up with school, A lot of youth, millions and millions of youth worldwide have given up with school and education. The millions of youth who do not like the current job system, 9 to 5, it doesn't work for them. And so they don't go to job, not because they have an alternative job, no, but because you as parents taught them that if it doesn't tickle their fancy, then, they mustn't, it's your must, because when they didn't want to eat ugali and they wanted to eat chips, you're just like, hey, it's fine, that food can be thrown. Or if they don't want to do this, then it's fine, it's your must, just do whatever you want. I don't want stress, and I'm already tired. What's the point? And so literally, slowly but surely, when you raise your children how you see fit, then most times you fail. And so that's what the Bible tells us. Train up your children in the ways of the Lord, so when he is old, he will not depart from it. The reason God said that is because he knew we as humans have our way. And human is to error, as in that's a law of nature. As long as you're a man, you're to error. You can fall into error. Not you can. You will fall into error. And so even in parenting, when you do it in your own understanding and your own strength, you will fail. Not once, not twice, but over and over again. And so Christ saw the importance of raising a child, that he decided to take the responsibility away from you and put it onto himself, and to put the instruction and the regulations for raising a child in an instruction manual called the Bible, and together with all the other things that the Bible can help you with, there is a department where it can help you with raising up your child in the way that the Lord sees fit. Why? Because the Lord is free from error. As in, if a child or a generation is needed to bring revival, then this is how that generation will get revival. Because someone would have raised that child up in the ways of the Lord, so much so that it doesn't matter how rotten and disgusting the world has gotten, but there will be that one remnant who's raised in such a profound manner that they will be able to bring revival in any and every generation. Why? Because the church will never fail. And once people get out of the church, and once people get out of the faith, then there is necessarily no church left, because we as Christians, we're the church. And so when we raise that one child up in the way of the Lord, doesn't matter how many other parents raise their children however they want, God will use that one child as a remnant to ensure that the church will not die in this generation. And he will use that child to do great exploits for the world and for the nation and for the kingdom, because he would have raised that child up in the ways of the Lord. And just as Christ has promised, that child will not depart from him even when they're old. And I'll give you a story before we conclude. Now, in the Old Testament, there was a great, great man of God. His name was Joshua. There was Joshua and Elias. I'm not too sure how to pronounce his name, but we'll start with Elias. Now, Elias was a priest, and he was a good priest. Why? Because of Samuel, because of who Samuel turned out to be. Proves and goes to show that Eli was an amazing priest, and really, really understood and did the things of the Lord. And they did exploits for the nation of Israel. He did great things for God and for the nation of Israel. And, he did almost everything right except raising up his children. Because the means of him doing all this other essential work for the church, forgot the one responsibility that God had given him directly, as in, others you can ask questions here and there, but a child, you can't ask a question, it's come to you direct, And so he forgot that one responsibility, and that one responsibility came to bite him in the back. Number one, he saw the death of his children, And number two, he was assured of his own death. Can you imagine? Sitting and or walking or sleeping just knowing that your death is coming, your death is near. And how much worse it is knowing that your children you will see your children first before you follow them, And those are the consequences that come with raising your child wrong, as in disrespecting the responsibility that God has given you over your children results in such. The death of your children, or the death of yourself, or just the death of success in your family. And with that being said, let us pray. And as we pray, let us remember to pray for our children. And let us remember to take the responsibility to ourselves to raise up our children in the ways of the Lord. Let us make sure the things they see are the things of God, the things they listen to are the things of God, and the things they hear in our homestead are things that please the God. Let them not hear or go to school insulting other boys and girls because they had a parent insulting their wife or their husband. So let us make sure that, those eyes and ears and the other senses, let's make sure they are being filled with the things of the Lord, so that we protect the upcoming generation, that we shall never have another mess like the Gen Z again, because things are very, very bad with our generation.